Set in the heart of Virginia hunt country, Welbourne is a historic farm located about 5 miles northwest of Middleburg. Its imposing antebellum mansion dates from 1770. The oldest part began as a simple farmhouse made of stone, 2.5 stories tall, with a 3-bay front and interior end chimneys. The house still has the original woodwork in the dining room and on the second floor. James Lewis owned the property during the late 18th century, and in 1833 his widow Joanna sold the property to John Peyton Dulany. His father, Benjamin Tasker Dulany, was a member of George Washington's inner circle and had loaned the general his beloved horse Blueskin during the Revolutionary War. He called the property Welbourne. The name honours his wife Mary Ann de Butts, born at Welbourne Hall in Lincolnshire, England. The word Welbourne comes from Old English, Wella meaning spring and Burna meaning stream. He was the first generation of the prosperous Dulany family to live at Welbourne, and his descendants have lived there ever since. On acquiring Welbourne, John Peyton immediately began to make alterations. He added to the house using bricks, fired in kilns on the farm. The addition was a simple rectangular block of 5 bays with a gable roof. It was connected to the earlier section by a traverse hall containing the staircase. In the 1840s, he added a long, broad veranda with Italianate columns, 2 stories high, plain and graceful. In the 1870s, his son Richard Henry Dulany added a 2-story addition at the back of the house. Observers over the years have noted that it all meshes together, with Thomas Wolfe noting, "The place is warm with life and grandly, instantly familiar the moment a stranger enters it." Richard Henry was the most significant Dulany at Welbourne during the 19th century. Aged 20, he founded the Piedmont Foxhounds in 1840, the nation's oldest fox hunt. In 1853, he founded the Upperville Colt and Horse Show, the oldest horse show in America. Although a Unionist who voted against secession, Richard Henry joined the Confederate States Army and served with distinction as colonel of the 7th Virginia Cavalry, a regiment in the Laurel Brigade. A plaque in Trinity Church in Upperville honors his service. Welbourne was often visited by troops, both Confederate and Federal. General Jeb Stuart and John Singleton Mosby spent nights there. Federal forces, searching for Mosby and ransacking the house and farm, were also frequent visitors. A Civil War relic still visible today is a window etching from October 28, 1862. Confederate Major John Pelham wrote his friend's name and started to write his own, using a diamond, before 13-year-old Mary Dulany, the colonel's daughter, came to fetch him for breakfast. A few days later, bullets were hitting Welbourne's roof during the Battle of Unison. After the Civil War, the farm recovered and ownership passed in 1878 from patriarch John Peyton to his son, the colonel, whose oldest daughter, Frances Fanny Dulany Lemon, inherited it in 1906. Fanny's daughter, Frances Carter Lemon, another Fanny, and her husband, Nathaniel Holmes Morrison Sr., owned Welbourne from 1928 to 1957. To make ends meet, Mrs. Fanny Morrison began taking in guests in 1930. Welbourne has operated as a guest house ever since. Her great-granddaughter, Rebecca Dulany Morrison, is Welbourne's current innkeeper. Early visitors included legendary New York City editor Max Perkins and 2 of Perkins's famous writers, F. Scott Fitzgerald and Thomas Wolfe. Perkins became very close friends with Fanny's daughter Elizabeth in a platonic love affair that lasted decades. Their letters were published in 2012 in the book As Ever Yours. Fitzgerald used Welbourne as the setting for his 1934 story Her Last Case, published in the Saturday Evening Post. Wolfe used Welbourne as the setting for his story The House at Malvern, published posthumously in his collection The Hound of Darkness. Nat Morrison, who ran Welbourne from 1972 until his death in 2019, was one in a long line of charismatic owners of Welbourne. He opened a retired horse boarding operation on the farm's 520 acres. It is still in operation, continuing a tradition of nearly 200 years of horse care under the direction of his son Josh and his wife Amanda. Welbourne has been a kind of community centre for the local area. The family continues to open up the property for social gatherings, dinners, hunt breakfasts, and weekly stickball games during the summer. Along with his brother George Morrison, they hosted yearly outdoor events, the Goose Creek Jazz and Ragtime Society's Stomp and Cakewalk celebrations. Welbourne even inspired a feature film. In 2001, the comedy Crazy Like a Fox was filmed at the farm and starred Hollywood actors Roger Rees and Mary McDonnell. The movie was loosely based on the Dulany family and was a caricature of Nat himself. Welbourne continues today as a working bed and breakfast and an expansive home for retired horses. On the walls, the family portraits of John Peyton Dulany's descendants look down in review on the passing parade of today's visitors.